let me see. Here's what's going on with me. It was in 1973, 74 when Taekwondo strikes. It was at the Town Theater in Washington D.C. Um, I was, it was right before both of you guys existed. So
Welcome to the World Film Geek Podcast, where your friendly neighborhood world film geek, Albert Valentin, talks to indie and global actors and filmmakers about their careers, projects, and more.
Okay. Well, welcome Film Geekdom to the first ever martial arts film roundtable. I am really excited. I am your friendly neighborhood world film geek, Albert Valentin. It is a pleasure to be talking to two awesome people today about our love of martial arts and martial arts films. So first, I'd like to introduce Janell Smith. She is a martial artist from Texas, I believe, and she also did some film work as a producer, stunt performer, I believe, and she is now the founder of Iron Dragon TV, which we'll get into during this broadcast. So, Janelle, it's great to talk to you about this genre.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you for having me.
And next, I got a good old buddy of mine that I lost touch with, but we're back. We are back in touch. We got the awesome John Kreng. He is an actor, stand-up comedian, stuntman. You might have seen him in Jet Li's The Master at one point. And he has an awesome book on fight choreography that I recommend. And he's done a lot of other projects. John, it's great to have you here as well.
uh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to meet both of you.
So first, let's just get right into it. How did you, um, since you two are into martial arts and or have experience, how did that all come about? What were your influences on that?
I have been in the fitness industry for 30 something years, and I started teaching kickboxing at Gold's Gym. And I decided that I wanted to pursue martial arts because I wanted to teach my students how to kick properly. So I joined a Taekwondo school, WTF. And like I said, that was over 30 years ago, and I'm still doing it. I fell in love with it. I've been an athlete all my life. And so martial arts just fit right into, my passion. Yeah, and plus having a dad that liked combat sports, so I would always be with my dad, going to boxing matches, wrestling matches, you name it. I was right by his side, so I've always had a love for combat sports.
That's all.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Um, it's your typical story. I was the little kid, going into a junior high, and I knew I was going to get bullied, and I was, and I thought, I need to stop this somehow, some way, because so that's how I got involved. I found out that uh, the summer before I went to Europe to visit my cousins, and they were refugees from Vietnam to France, and we spent the whole summer there. And they started, uh, they told me that they were black belts, and what was interesting was they kind of broke the myth of what martial arts was really about. Because you hear there are things, oh, you're gonna break boards, the teacher's gonna beat you up, and you see it in the movies and
Yeah.
just the stereotype. And they kind of dispelled all that. Go, look, you gotta crawl before you can walk and before you can run and stuff like that. So the them kind of just show me what was behind the curtain really helped me a lot. And that's how I got involved, and I've been with it ever since in
That's
different
awesome.
incantations. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I have no formal training. I've taken free classes in various styles. Matter of fact, just 2 days ago, I took my first ever judo class. So
Oh,
it
nice.
was quite fun. It was quite fun. But yeah, we did it for a workshop at my day job, and one of the things they did was, oh, we're doing a judo basic workshop. I'm like, all right, I'm joining it because anytime I see something like that, I was like, I got to do it. So I've taken classes in karate, Krav Maga, kickboxing, but I'm not like a formal martial artist. I just learned, whatever I could. You know, I'm one of those types. I think I could be like a Yan, the actor who didn't know martial arts before, you know, in the '70s, who learned on film and he became like this big kung fu star. I thought, oh, I can be where I can in a way.
Yes. Well, it's never too late. It's never too late to
Yes.
start. So,
Exactly.
hey, you
Yeah.
you did your first class. Now go in for your second class. Just don't give
Yeah,
up.
exactly. I was telling my wife, I'm like, I think I might end up eventually like going to this judo school. It's pretty cool, and the sensei's are pretty awesome. So
Judo's
we'll
a
see
lot
what
of
Oh,
happens.
fun.
awesome.
I love
That's
judo.
awesome.
We have a lot of judo in our system. So the style that I train in and teach here at my school is called Kong martial arts. And I took over this school 3 years ago. And so it's distance theory. So there's never a dull moment because we can
Oh,
do kicking and punching one day. The next day we'll be doing throws. So it's a, yeah, I love it. That's what keeps me going.
There you go. That's
that's
the
awesome.
way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a black belt in Tansudo and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and I feel it complements each other for the range, like you said. You know, I mean, it's just because typical Korean Tansudo or Taekwondo is a long distance, but it doesn't always work that way. You know, so and
Yeah.
Albert, just keep going. Each day is going to be a discovery and a
Yeah.
journey for yourself,
Yeah.
and even with me now,
Exactly.
it's every day there's something new. I don't know if you guys feel this, but for me, there's commonalities to all styles. Not maybe not just maybe not physically, but mentally and philosophically. But I find what's really important is the more I learn, the less I know. Kind of
Yeah.
it's humbling. You got, oh, so that's how you interpret. Different styles have different interpretations on different situations, and it just shows the myriad, the range of the human spirit and ingenuity and creativity in when it comes to expressing yourself. And this is the way we choose to express ourselves.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Yes.
next question is, let's talk about martial arts movies. Like, what's your first experience watching a martial arts movie? Like, I see John's face right now. He's like, I can't wait that.
Go ahead, Janelle. Ladies first.
I have to say, because hence the name of my company, Iron Dragon Productions, my first movie that I fell in love with, martial arts, was Iron Monkey. And I still love it. I still love Donnie Yen, of course. I'd love to meet him someday. I love Donnie Yen and Jet Li both equally. But Iron Monkey was just such a movie that spoke to me, and that was the beginning. Every Saturday afternoon I was watching Kung Fu Theater, and I
Mhm.
remember being glued to the TV as a kid. Like, oh, I can't wait. What's going to be showing today on Kung Fu Theater. So yeah,
That's
Iron
awesome.
Monkey was the first one for me.
Okay, let me age you guys. Let me see. Here's what's going on with me. It was in 1973, 74. When Taekwondo Strikes, it was at the Town Theater in Washington, D.C. Um, I was, it was right before both of you guys existed. So what happened was, yeah, I like to say it was Bruce Lee movie, but no, it wasn't. I mean, about a month later, my mom took me to New York City to 42nd Street, and at the Liberty Theater, they had a Bruce Lee triple feature. I I went in at I never it's as vivid as day. I went in at 5 p.m. with my mom, and we left around 12:30, 1 o'clock the next morning, and it completely
Oh
changed
wow.
my life. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a triple feature, and it
Yeah.
went 24/7. I mean, this is during the grindhouse era, where the peak of the grindhouse era, where people screaming and yelling at the screen, and that was a it was a changing experience for me, in so many ways I can't begin to tell you guys.
Yeah, mine, I would say it's similar to Janelle's. When I was about 3, we had a show in New York City. in the local stations called Drive-In Movie, and they would play like Bruce Lee, Bruce Ploitation, or Shaw Brothers, or
Mm.
and maybe Jackie Chan once in a while. So every Saturday morning, like after Saturday morning cartoons, most of my friends would be outside already playing, but I'd stay that extra 2 to 4 hours depending on what's playing because drive-in movie would come on. I'm like, I gotta watch this. So it'd be something like Five Deadly Venoms one week,
Awesome.
Return of the Master Killer the next,
Mm.
Invincible one, and then the Young Hero, like some of the lower budgeted ones. So that was my experience. And then Channel 5 for like one whole week had Bruce Lee films. So like Monday would be like The Big Boss, Tuesday
Yeah.
would be Fist of Fury, Wednesday Return of the Dragon, Thursday Game of Death, and then Friday was like Bruce Lee the Legend, the documentary about him that Golden Harvest had done. So that would be like that was my like first martial arts experience. I was only like 3 years old, but I got hooked. It hooked me on the genre.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I'd say it's about 7 years older than John's experience. So that was like around '82. So
Oh, this was about 10 years. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that.
The triple feature was Enter the Dragon, Fist of Fury, and
Yeah.
Chinese Connection back then. So
Oh, yes.
There you go.
people were going nuts. I
Yeah.
mean, because if you really think about it, nobody ever saw anything like that before. You saw the Shooting 20 and Seven Samurai and a bunch of other things, but it was never. It was the buildup. The buildup was not. It was different. It was just like, and I feel with in the urban audiences, they felt repressed themselves, and just the way it was a universal thing, and it was like people would just go nuts and they just release their stress and their tension onto the screen. It was amazing. I mean, you're just like, whoa. It was a collective group experience that I mean, it's still something I cherish to this day. These experiences. I mean, to this day, we're working on some stuff, but I collect movie posters from that era.
Mhm.
So
Oh wow.
I have a pretty big collection right now of all the movies. I mean, I collect stuff that I haven't, even the movies I haven't seen, and lobby cards and all that stuff. Because
Yeah.
I'm working on Melissa and I were working on a documentary on the history of martial arts cinema. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. That's cool. I think, if Bruce Lee were to walk in today, he would have the same effect. Definitely.
of
If he were to show up on the scene, on set, it would be the same thing. He was just so iconic, and he had such a presence and that charisma.
oh yeah,
It's been hard for anyone to match that. But
yeah,
yeah, Bruce Lee opened up the door for so many, so many.
and he still does.
He
And
still does.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen the behind his?
Yeah, and then
Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then of course when he passed away, Bruce Ploitation came on the rise. All the
Yes.
fake Bruce Lees, and
Yes.
I just recently saw that documentary. I finally got to watch it, Enter the Clones of Bruce. I watched it on Amazon a couple weeks ago, and
Oh, which one
turns
is that? What
it's
is
called
it called?
Enter the Clones of Bruce. They
Okay.
actually found 3 of them today.
Right.
They found Bruce
Yeah.
Lee, Bruce Lee, and Dragon Lee, and they're still alive. And they gave interviews about their experiences making these films after Bruce Lee's death. And Dragon Lee said Bruce Lee was like his hero growing up. So when he died, and the producers were out scrambling, looking where he goes, I was like, I wanted to be Bruce Lee. I wanted to be Bruce Lee, and he did the little,
Yes.
Bruce Lee hated it. Just on the record, he hated being called Bruce Lee. He's like, my real name is Ho Chung Tao, and I don't like being called Bruce Lee. But
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I'll have to
Yeah.
watch
Like,
that. I haven't seen it.
It's
So,
it's definitely worth
Yeah, I
seeing.
think it's-
For me, I saw that. There was a film festival down here in LA,
uh-huh.
yeah,
and I saw it on a big screen. It changed my view on those movies. I mean, before, I mean, you just remember me growing up. It was very exploitative with the advertising because
Yep.
because they use LEE. You go, oh my God, this is the missing footage and all this other stuff. And every time you went, you felt disappointed. But I mean, my friend Mike Worth helped produce that, and
Yeah.
when we
Mike's
saw
awesome.
it, I was like, he he just told me. I told him afterwards, dude, I'm a believer now. You know,
Mm.
I completely get it. I get it. I mean, it's winning awards, so that's great. And I'm helping out a little bit on the second box set that's coming out
Oh, that's awesome.
as best I can.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I'm not producing anything, but I'm helping with certain
Yeah,
things.
and
Mhm.
Can't really say right
yeah. I
now.
also like the
You know.
fact that Bruce Lee also paved the way to let after the big explosion in the U.S.
Oh,
they started making the action films.
You
So
oh,
broke up, Albert.
yeah, you broke up. You just broke
I
up.
cut out. I knew it. Yeah. So no, I'm saying like I feel like after Bruce Lee's death, even American filmmakers wanted to start doing their own martial arts flicks.
Right.
Yes.
No matter
Yeah.
how low. So I've seen quite a few of those as well.
Yeah.
And even they worked with like Filipino filmmakers as well. Like Ciro Santiago.
Mhm.
Oh gosh.
That went on. Oh, you had like Black Force and Bare Knuckles and The Man from Harlem.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Right.
So it's just
Yeah.
pretty. I think my mom and I showed my mom the Man from Harlem. I bought this like 50 martial arts film set, and I never seen the Man from Harlem. So my mom and I decided I'll show my mom. We watched it,
Uh-huh.
and I remember this one fight scene where a guy was punching, and then the hero like does this little like I don't know like a ballet move before flipping him over, and I literally like was laughing so hard that I'm like, did they really just do that?
Wow. Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
for me, after watching like all the Bruce Lee and coming up in the 70s, growing up, I started watching Billy Jack.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was another
Classic.
powerful
Yes.
presence, on screen that really spoke to me. It was the same thing, the underdog. And then, when he had that amazing, crescent kick, to the guy's head, I'm like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I have to learn. I have to learn how to do
Yes. No, I agree. I grew up watching that, seeing that movie when they released in the second release, and I feel very privileged to have experienced what I experienced. Like
it.
when I got injured, I couldn't do stunts or anything or train. So what I ended up doing was, might as well, if I can't do it, I might as well start talking about it.
Mhm.
So what I ended up doing was I ended up getting a job writing for TC Media with Kung Fu Tai Chi and all those magazines. So they knew, I mean, the editor knew that my love for martial arts films. So she just said, "Hey, look, whoever you can get, whoever you want to talk to, just let me know and we'll publish it." So I was working on an interview with Tom Laughlin.
Oh,
I
Oh wow.
ended up talking to him for like he called me. This is before cell phones.
yeah.
He called me and
Yeah.
he left a message on my voicemail, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is Billy Jack. He's calling me." So
That's
so
how I
I
oh my gosh, this is Billy Jack.
Billy
yeah.
Jack.
I mean, he has that voice. He's got a specific tone, and it was
Yeah,
just so cool.
so
And
cool.
and what happened was, I told him what I wanted to do, and he found out. He started. We talked for 2 hours on the phone,
Wow.
just personal things, and because my father was an ambassador from Cambodia to the United States, and I talked to him. He goes, "Well, we started talking about all that stuff, and he started talking about politics, and it was just all this really cool stuff. And then what happened was, I said, "This is what I want to do. I want to talk. I want to do an interview with you and your influence and what you brought." And he goes, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it." He goes, "Oh, and by the way, let me send you some stuff." So he sent me there's like a book that he published on how he did Billy Jack, and it was amazing. And him and his wife signed it for me. And then what happened was, something happened. Oh, he had cancer, and it was back and forth, and then we tried to stay in touch. I saw him a couple times afterwards, um, but it just never happened. And that was one of the major regrets, that I didn't get to really
Yeah,
open that up with him
yeah,
and it on a public forum.
yeah,
Just like, but he's such a nice man. Him and his wife. I mean, I met his wife Dolores. They're amazing people. So yeah, I was supposed to go to their house in Brentwood and then just kind of hang out for a day and just talk. I was like, oh man, it just didn't happen.
yes. I know that's when it reminds us time is
That's
precious.
just the
I know
fact that
that's when
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. And just the fact you got to talk to him on the phone was like amazing. Just having this conversation, just like that's how I like to do my interviews, basically. Like, yeah, we talk about the movies we talk about, but there are times when we would just get into other stuff like related to it because I'm like, I don't want to be these. I've seen the horror of journalism and you know, the ones who ask the too personal questions. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm going for here. We have a love of film where and that's what I like to talk about. And even if we just veer off into other things, let it just happen. Not delve into anything too crazy. Like I'm never gonna forget that one British journalist who he made like Robert Downey Jr. walk out because he was getting too personal about his his past and his relationship with his dad. Yeah, that was that for me was like the catalyst. Like if I'm gonna do interviews, that's what not to do. Like I know exactly.
Here's the thing about that. I mean, I'm not defending that journalist at all. I thought what he did was really tacky.
Yeah.
I feel when I do these interviews with these people, first off, I feel honored that I got to that point that I'm there with them. But what I do is I kind of say to myself, I kind of want to create this sacred circle between him and me, or them, that person and me, her, and then what I say is, whatever they say, I hope that it comes out in a way where they're represented well and how they feel, because I'm never there to exploit them. I mean, in a negative way. I'm there to help them get exposure and get people to know what they do. But when it comes to that personal stuff, because I've had some interviews, not gonna name, but where people kind of broke down in front of me emotionally, and I said, okay. I said to them, I go, it's up to you whether you want me to publish this or not.
Yeah, I did that too. I interviewed Mark Hufton, Hong Kong actor, who did a lot of he was in Jackie Chan's Drunken Master 2. He did a lot of films with his Sifu La Carleon. He did some movies with him.
Yeah.
There was a documentary about him called I Am the White Tiger. So I did it.
Oh, yeah.
So I did an interview with him and we were on the phone for like an hour and a half. Like I thought it was going to be but he even, he said, he even would ask me, listen, if I say some stuff, can you just keep it off record? And like I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna publish everything. If you want to keep off, you want to tell me some stories and keep it private, go right ahead, man. I'm all for it. So to this day, I still keep some of these stories private. He's told me some really interesting stuff about his his adventure in doing his filming in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to talk to him as well. His film was in my film festival, and he's such an interesting character. He really is. He's been through a lot.
yeah, to say the least.
Yes. Very kind, very, very kind.
Yes.
I think that's the cool thing is, martial arts. I know when I used to compete quite a bit. State champion, national champion, 2002 national taekwondo champion. And then I stopped there. But the cool thing is when you meet these other martial artists around the world, martial arts is like a brotherhood. It's that community, sisterhood. You have that in common because you love martial arts, and people that do it and train, they're cool. They're just laid back. And I like to say this, and this will be off the record because I don't curse. But one of my first masters told me, he's like, Janell, you're just not interesting until you've had the shit kicked out of you. And I'll never forget that. And I'm like, yep, you are so right. When you've been knocked out in the ring, hey, it's like, okay, now all of my fears are gone. What more can happen?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. Your confidence and your expectation levels just change.
Yes.
Yes. I experience this. What's next?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing no, I hear.
And I find interesting you say that because even martial arts films, the fan base is they're like a brotherhood. Even with the horror film community, they're like a brotherhood. They're like family. Because I've talked to horror filmmakers and actors. They tell me they're so close knit together. there's barely any of, and some of them will even help each other out on projects,
Yeah.
just for the mere fact that they have a common love of the genre. And I feel like it's the same thing with martial arts flicks, like martial arts films. You got Scott Adkins working. He worked constantly with Marco Zarora on like a number of films. Or Isaac Florentine. Which, by the way, I talked to Isaac Florentine just a couple of weeks ago, and
he's very nice. He's a very nice man.
amazing. He's awesome. He's great, and and of course, John knew this. I wrote for Kung Fu Cinema for like 7 years before it shut down, and that helped me gain a more, like, I got to meet more martial arts filmmakers. Just telling me, you're doing a great job and keep it up and whatnot. And to get that for someone just like a normal kid who didn't really have any martial arts experience or anything, but just has this love for the genre, it just means so much to me.
Well, Albert, before we end, we are going to make sure you keep up with your training, right, John?
Yes. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
Your writing will change because of it too. Because you're now your senses have changed, as opposed to before, kind of the outside looking in. Now you're on the inside looking. See things more objectively. So
I do, even with films, I look at, like, I can notice something, and I will, if I'm interviewing a director or a filmmaker or an actor, I tell them this is what I think of it, like I seen the film, and they're like, you just nailed it. What we were trying to accomplish with that one scene, like, you got it. You figured it out. There's people out there who don't know what's going on. They just think, oh, this just happened. But I sometimes have this ability to, like, read the scene and understand what is going on in there.
Yeah. It's just like, especially when you watch the Hong Kong films, their cuts and their edits have a purpose. Much more than they do here. I think it's changing now with John Wick, but on a more general basis in Hong Kong cinema, I mean, the action director has total control over the where the camera goes, how to shoot it, and how to edit it. Whereas here, you don't have that much control. Especially when you have other people involved that don't understand what's going on. So you're usually vetoed. So I'm talking from experience.
That's insane. That's what I want to talk about next. The fight choreography. I feel like the style of choreography has evolved over the years. You had beginning, you had sword play, and then you had some hand-to-hand combat. Of course, the story of Wong Fei Hung, started using more of the unarmed combat, and then you have Bruce Lee, of course. Can't say enough. And
we lost you for a minute, Albert.
Yeah, we lost.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
But it's just...
All right, can you hear me now? We good?
Yeah.
We good?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right, but I feel like fight choreography has evolved. And they, of course, Bruce Lee bringing his Hong Kong style to Enter the Dragon. And then 12 years later, we had Corey Yun bring his style for No Retreat, No Surrender. Which is a definitive cult classic, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yes. You know what I liked about that movie? You know what I liked about No Retreat, No Surrender? Is that you saw how versatile a fighter Jean-Claude Van Damme could be. Most of the Hong Kong films, when I say they don't repeat themselves, they don't repeat the same technique over and over again. You don't see him do that, but he does that constantly in his Western films. It's the same kick, same spin kick all the time.
Yeah.
But, you don't see that. You didn't see that No Retreat, No Surrender. I meant he could take direction at that time. So, and that's what I really like. And when everybody goes, "Hey, what's your favorite Van Damme movie?" I go, "It's hands down No Retreat, No Surrender," because he never repeated himself. And it was just one kick knockout.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It gets kind of boring after a while.
I have.
Yeah, it still surprised me. He actually knocked out Peter Cunningham.
He what?
He actually knocked out Peter Cunningham in the one scene where he did that jump spinning kick to him, and he actually knocked him out.
Wow. Yes. I was about to say that, yes, the John Wick films have taken it to another level. The choreography sets are just it's a symphony. I mean, it's really taken it to another level when you try to count all the different techniques. And yeah, I don't know about you, John. Do you ever like just break down the choreography watching a John Wick film?
Yeah. Oh yeah, all the time. I
Yeah,
do it subconsciously. But
yeah, I do
yes,
too.
you know,
I do too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
yeah, you just, I mean, you go, okay, they use that. Oh, it's interesting. You
yeah,
kind of, I have little checklists in my head. I was like, oh, that's
yes,
interesting. Why they transition from this to this, and
yeah,
that's kind of like what goes in my head with all this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's not, if you go into a theater with me, it's not, you won't have fun because I'll be sitting there talking about, why did you do that? Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
That,
right,
that angle
right.
didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah,
It kind of takes the
Yeah, with
fantasy.
John Wick, I think eventually we're just gonna have to break down like all the John Wick movies, like fight scenes alone in an episode of a future episode.
Oh, that'll
At this
take forever.
that would be, yeah, it would
point.
take
I know,
forever. Yeah, that's a
exactly.
lot of choreography, but that would be fun. That would be a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Especially,
Yeah.
and as of today, I don't know if you guys know that the spin-off, the trailer came out for Ballerina,
Oh, I saw that. I
which
Yeah.
haven't seen the
is the
trailer.
John Wick spin-off with
Oh,
Anna de Armas.
that's right. I can't
Nice.
wait to see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be
Yes.
awesome.
I really did enjoy Atomic Blonde,
Yeah.
and it was the same
Yeah.
team. Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. So I'm looking forward to seeing more female leads, and yeah, it just makes it more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It
I think.
definitely does. I mean,
Yeah, I've
for a while in
mentioned
the
it to
60s.
someone. Um, yeah, I mentioned it to someone last year that we need more female action heroes like who actually have the skill set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think I personally think that this is gonna be a renaissance. I mean, it's gonna kind of, I mean, because this happened in the 50s and the 60s in Hong Kong cinema,
Mm-hmm.
where women, action stars took over. I mean, you had Cheng
Yeah.
Pepe, you had a bunch of people, you know, of that style back then,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I hope it'll happen here, but
Yeah.
you never know. I mean, it's not as communal as it like over there is, you know,
Yeah.
it, it's kind of, I mean, especially right now with the way the industry is kind of everything's being fractured, the way with streaming and
Yeah.
budgeting, and especially after the strikes, it's been kind of crazy, to be honest
It
with you. I don't
has. It has. I don't think it's returned since the
Yeah,
strikes,
No, it
and
hasn't.
now with the streaming wars, it's now, yeah, anything goes. Anything goes,
Right,
and that's why I'm trying to get more into producing myself to
right.
create projects, that are female led with action.
Awesome.
And of course, I've always loved the sci-fi genre.
yeah,
So to me, that's always a good way to marry something modern, with martial arts.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
yeah.
have.
There was a recent film. Yeah, there was a recent film called Lady Scorpions that just came out
Yeah.
a few weeks ago with Cynthia Rothrock.
Yes.
I feel like in a way it was I thought for me it was a passing of the torch
Mm,
from her to Caitlin Deschelle, because Caitlin Deschelle is a
Oh,
martial arts champion.
yeah.
She even appeared in the Jackie Chan film
Yeah.
Chinese Zodiac. Had a great scene against Zoe Zhang where they're practically kicking at each other like crazy.
Yes.
And I feel like Lady Scorpions was the passing of the torch.
Yeah.
And of course Caitlin did another film, Kung Fu Bean.
So
you
Caitlin,
killed my teacher.
Yeah, there we go.
Caitlin Deschelle, I did a show, kind of a pilot for a show called The Next Dragon. And she was one of the first contestants on my little show, Caitlin Deschelle. And that's when she was competing. And
Oh, wow.
I have a little clip of her saying, I will be the next dragon. So I have to look for that clip and send it to her. But she was so cute. And I knew, I knew she was going to take
Wow.
that route of starting to get into
That's
film.
awesome.
And then I invited her out to one of my film festivals in Austin, and she came and talked a little bit about getting into the film industry. But yeah, she's a sweetheart too, and she works really hard. She really does. Yeah.
We do need more female action heroes. I totally agree on that.
Yes.
I actually spoke with someone last year named Lisa Ehlers, and she's from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me this little story that I auditioned for a movie that starred Samuel L. Jackson in South Africa, and I knew right away what it was. It was Kite, based on the anime, and I'm like, yeah, it's Kite, isn't it? She goes, yeah, it was Kite. Well, the only reason why I didn't get the role is because I couldn't do the stunts.
Oh.
They met me with a stunt choreographer, and I just for the record, I can't do any stunts at all. I couldn't do any.
Oh, wow.
But the upside of it is it inspired her to take up martial arts.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's always a good thing.
So as a result, she's now a brown belt in Hapkido.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Very
awesome.
cool. Very
And
cool.
and she told me as of a couple weeks ago, she's planning to get her red belt in kickboxing.
Oh, nice. That's
Nice.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a lifetime pursuit, you know. I tested in 2019 for my 5th degree in Korea, and yeah, and I'm still training. In fact, I was about to say I've got about 10 minutes before I have class.
Yep. That's fine.
Yes. But anyway, yeah, I was mentioning to John, I have Orias Project coming out. We're going to be screening at the Chinese Theater in December. So
Awesome.
I'll be in LA in December, and I'll make sure and reach out to you, John. And then I'd love for people to check out IDTV Flicks. Yeah, we are growing, and I've just partnered with Combat Taekwondo. So we have new content from Combat Taekwondo, and that's international fights from around the world. And, you know, all kinds of cool films as well. So IDT.
Congratulations. Wish you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, John, at the end of the day, it's just when you love it, you just keep doing it, you know?
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, we're since the pandemic, since Hollywood essentially shut down, we are like, how are we going to do stunts? We're going to do so. We invested in Melissa and I, my producing partner and life partner. We invested in some cinema cameras, and we're shooting our own stuff right now. And we're just it's so the freedom you get.
Yes.
You shoot your own stuff, and it's another way of expression, which is I'm totally digging it. I've become a tech head in the last 5 years because of camera and editing.
You have to now. The film industry is all tech, so you really do.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, so Arias is another sci-fi film, and my last film, Nova, I think it's still on Amazon. It's on all of the streaming platforms, but I seem to have fallen into the sci-fi genre, and you know, it just makes it fun, and you're not limited, you know, in that world of sci-fi.
Yeah. And I think now, I think we're getting like a resurgence of the genre, like in a major way. It's like, you know, Hong Kong's got Twilight of the Warriors that came out, and I saw that this spring, and it blew my mind. I'm like, this is like old school Hong Kong cinema of like the '90s. You know, modern.
And you know what? I understand what you're saying with that. What I saw was, they really raised the game as far as in all aspects, cinematography. I mean, I'm not saying that it was anything that it was secondhand or anything like that, but they really stepped up with that, with their cinematography, especially their digital imaging, their lighting, and their special effects. I mean, I think about some of the special effects they had before. I mean, even like, you know, back in the '90s to now, I'm like going, when I watched that, I was just like, I was blown away. It sucked me right into the whole story. I was like going, oh my God, they took that whole area and made it its own little world that was it. It was very immersive. I mean, I, as the storytelling on the visual storytelling and what they did with that just blew me away. I don't know how you feel about this, but Korean cinema has pretty much taken the reign as far as action cinema for a little bit,
Yeah.
but they they kind of reclaimed it with this with this project. I think it's the second highest grossing film ever in a Hong Kong made film. So I'm like,
Yeah, and I think and they're actually playing a prequel and a sequel, so
right,
that's going to be quite interesting to see how Soe Chung is gonna keep those elements going, but before the walled city and then after the walled city, that's gonna be quite interesting. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
well, I can't wait. I mean, I'm I I'm I'm gonna order the 4K version so I can break it down and see everything they did.
Yeah, even before that, we had Raging Fire with Donnie Yen and Nicholas Say, and it was Benny Chan's swan song before he sadly passed away.
Right.
And I feel like that was like the beginning of like, you know what, Hong Kong's got a chance to reclaim its with that film too, because that was an action, like a total action film, but still, you see the tension between Donnie and Nicholas' character as former partners becoming like these rivals, and how Nicholas just goes this downward spiral and becomes like psychotic by the end reel.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, the scope of this of Walled City just totally sucked me in like never before. I mean, when it comes to the genre, and they combine genres too on this. They made a film, a gangster film. I was like going, oh my god, it's not just one thing, and they kind of write it out. They hit you on so many levels. Yeah, that's why I think it was a success.
Yeah, it threw everything but the kitchen sink in a good way, in a good positive way.
In a good way, yeah. As opposed to like in the early '90s where it's like, well, let's put a rapper in here and see how it works. Did it stick?
Oh yeah.
But it's like, oh yeah, I guess.
But then earlier this year they came out with the Last Kumite, which brought back the old school guard, mixing it with some of the newer stars like Kurt McKinney gets to see his first action film since '96. He got to fight again in a film. Like the last one we did was Cynthia Rothrock with Sworn to Justice. Like the last time we saw him fight on film, and then here he is at 62 years old, like fighting like in a tournament. I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. Like only to see him still like he's still doing it. Like
that's awesome.
Wow. Well, Albert, I'm gonna have to step out because it's 3:56. But thank you for having me, and I would love to do another follow-up, maybe breaking down a John Wick fight scene. John, you and I could do that. That would be fun.
Yeah, let's do that. We should plan that. We should do like a series of the John Wick films or something. Like each John Wick film, we break it down.
That would be so wonderful. I would love it. Well, I'm going to step out. I'm going to let you continue, and I will, Albert, just reach out to me, and I look forward to chatting again.
All right. Well, Janelle, you have a good class tonight.
Have a great class.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
But yeah, I actually bought The Last Kumite on DVD, and I was like, because I was going to show my dad before he had passed away. I was going to show that to him, but sadly he died in May, so I didn't get a chance. But I showed it to my mom. She kind of liked it. She thought it was good for what it was. I mean, granted, it takes like an hour. It takes about an hour for the fights to really happen because they show like the training. I mean, that was like that's one thing. But you had guys like Cynthia Rothrock's in it, Billy Blanks, Matthias Hughes, Michelle Kesey, and
cool.
But the star is Mathis Landwehr from Germany, who's supposed to be really good. Like he's really good in it. And there's a YouTuber, Viking Samurai. He's in the film, and he gets to do the helicopter kick against the bag, like the champion in the film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, I think it was meant to be like a throwback to the blood sport like genre, and I thought it was okay. And a lot of people like, it was weak, but I think it's because they expected it to be like the choreography today. But
Yeah, it's weird when you do a throwback like that,
yeah,
whereas the choreography, the hardest part about putting together fight scenes is you got to stay ahead of the audience, and if the audience already seen it, then you're kind of screwed. You're kind of like it's also kind of like stand-up comedy. When I was performing at the Comedy Store, they had this look on their face when you get up there. It goes, all right, we've seen what Richard Pryor and Robin Williams can do. What are you gonna do? It's the same thing because they go, well, we've seen this before. I've seen them do this. I've seen. Well, what are you gonna do that's different? That's gonna change my, gonna blow me away. I mean, Walled City definitely did that for me. I was like, holy crap. I was like, yeah, I didn't expect this. Okay. Oh, okay. And like you said, they did it in such a good way, a good unexpected way. I mean, on all counts. So yeah, the hard part with the choreography is just staying ahead of the audience, trying to come up with something new, and having the time to do it and the talent to execute. That's
exactly. That's the important thing, talent too. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, we don't really get like the people who actually have the skill sets anymore doing these films. We got people who are just training for the films, and that's it. Once they finish, do they continue? The question is, do they want to continue training in martial arts, or they just said, you know what, I already did the movie. There's no,
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's people out there who kept going.
Right.
Like, they trained for films, but then they love the experience that they want to keep going.
Yeah, like Keanu and oh god, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. Nicholas Say too. He was one of those guys. He trained for like
right.
back early in his career. He trained for Gen X Cops, and
Oh
he
yeah,
ended up
that's right.
and then he ended up getting Philip Bing as his teacher, his Wing Chun teacher, the guy who played Bruce Lee in Birth of the Dragon. He was
Nice.
actually his martial arts teacher.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just it depends on when you walk into a film or a project. You got to ask, you got to figure out, if you're putting this together, you got to say, okay, is this person in it as for good, or are they in it as a means to an end?
Yeah.
I'd say 7 or 8 out of 10 is a means to an end, so they could progress their career. But if they're very passionate about the genre, they'll stick to it and make a change with it, and they'll continue on. But unfortunately, with my experience, I find that rare, very rare.
I do, yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
and then I've seen people who do have the skill set, but they want to try out other stuff first before getting a chance to showcase what they can do. Like Robert Downey Jr. He
right.
studied Wing Chun, and then we didn't get anything till Sherlock Holmes, where he got to show elements of what he can do. And I was like, when I saw him doing the Wing Chun, I was like, whoa, okay, he's legit,
Well, I think what he did was very smart. I mean, he's as we've known in the documents of his life and his career. I mean, it's been up and down. I mean, it's a very he's made changes, and the thing is, he turned it around and made it work for him. But the thing is I felt he did the right thing, because he cared about his career. He developed his career as an actor, an Academy Award nominated actor, and he made it work, so that when he had the influence and the say to incorporate Wing Chun into a period piece, an English period piece, it worked. I mean, yeah. So, the whole thing is, if anybody wants to come up in this business, you can't just come in and say, I'm a martial artist and I'm gonna be the next,
Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee,
there's other things involved. It's not just your physical skill. You got to be able, like I tell this to a lot of martial artists, and sometimes they take in, sometimes goes one through one ear, not the others, that you have to show vulnerability when you fight, and that's something you're never trained to do as a martial artist. You're trained to have a stoic, stone face, because if your opponent sees your emotions, they're gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Where film, that's the narrative. That's the narrative you have to have. You got to show the audience. You got to show vulnerability so the audience will, follow you. It's like, oh no, he's about to get his butt kicked by this guy who did this and this to him. You got to show that vulnerability, and it's done in sort of ways you can't just go, just like your pro wrestler, selling it to
Yeah.
the rafters. You gotta show with your eyes. You got to do real subtle because the camera's right there.
Yeah.
It's not, so and you got to work it. You got to really work those skills, just like you would a sidekick or a jump spin hook kick or anything or a kip up or any of that stuff. And that's because that's part of your toolbox. If you don't have that, you're not going to last.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, and I was mentioning to, I've mentioned to a couple filmmakers, I like the action heroes of today because they don't, back in the 80s, you had the tough guy, the one who's like invincible. Nowadays, you
Right.
got like the more humanistic ones, like someone who will suffer from PTSD, someone who has like a disability, someone who has a struggle, but are still willing to
Right.
fight their way through whatever they can. And I love that because I feel like we get a more, more, how do I say this?
Depth.
Juxtaposition between a fight, the fight scene, the action scene, and the non-action scene, like, involving the character. It's not like
Right.
it's not the same old riffraff where it's like, oh, here I am, I'm a tough guy, and I'm fighting my way, and then okay, try to act. No, this like it's more emotional, and I think that's
Yes.
important.
I think Jackie, Samo, and all those guys had a lot to do with it from the opera, and Bruce Lee to a point too. I
Yeah,
mean, had he had lived and gone gone longer, I think he would have definitely changed it much more. I mean, a lot of people rank on him by him being not a good actor, but no, I don't feel that way at all. I go, if you look at some of his subtleties, like just he is a very capable actor. You know, just he understood the genre. I mean, and everybody goes, "Oh, he was a martial artist and became an actor." No, no, he was an actor who became a
yeah. I
martial
was
artist.
gonna say Bruce Lee
Became a
was an actor first, then he took up Wing Chun. Yeah, because
right.
I
Yeah,
saw his I saw a couple of his films like when he was a kid, like
right.
Kid Chung and
Yeah,
a couple of other ones where he wasn't actually an actor. He wasn't, this is before he studied Wing Chun. So it's like,
right.
yeah, he was an actor first, then he became a martial artist.
Yeah, yeah. People don't understand that. They go, "Oh, he became a martial." No, 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 no. He
No,
was an actor first. He came from an acting family,
yeah,
so he had that support and a certain amount of understanding before he walked into it. Then he became a martial artist. Then he became an action star. That's kind of it doesn't. If you look at the math, it equals.
yeah,
Whereas if you get a black belt, I'm a grand champion, I'm a world champion, da da da. I'm gonna be making movies. Okay, well, you're missing part of the equation.
yeah. But nowadays you're seeing Van Damme go the acting route rather than
Right.
sticking to the action. I mean, yeah, he still does his action scenes, but now we're seeing films where he's getting to show more of the other
Right.
side, where he's shown like JCVD, where he played
Oh
a
yeah.
comic version of himself. Darkness of Man, which just came out a few months ago, he showed like a himself in a neo noir film, and
Right.
you get to hear inside his mind. I mean, that was another one, and then kill them all, and he's starting to show. You know what? I want to do the acting part. I don't want to just do the karate anymore. I want to do
Right.
that, and I'm glad he's doing that. I feel like we need more of that versatility with like
Yeah.
you know,
I think JCVD was the turning point for him, and I saw it. I totally enjoyed it. I mean, he got to essentially play an extension of himself, and yeah, and I think that was a seed that made him do what he's doing now, like you already said. It's just like, yeah, it's interesting how that evolution, you come in one way and then the longer you stick to it, the better you're gonna, just like you are with your martial arts. The longer you are, you're gonna look back a year from now, you're gonna go, oh wow, I used to think and do it this way. Oh wow, it's the same thing with any art that you work on. And it includes working in action cinema as a choreographer, as an actor, or all that stuff. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I look at some of the stuff I did when I first started coordinating. I was like, oh god, what was I thinking about?
Yeah. I still remember the scene from you in The Master where Jet Li like breaks your arm, like he had to do the arm twist to you, and then and then you did, and then you didn't even not just martial arts movies, you did comedies like Glitch, which by
Oh,
the way it's on Tubi now, so if
oh,
anyone
it
wants to
is.
see, if everyone wants to see John in a comedy, Glitch is on Tubi as of right now. So
Ah, oh my god, that was that was an interesting movie. I mean, I first moved out here. I was there for about was here for about maybe 6 months, maybe 6 8 months, from moving from Maryland, D.C. to here, and I was like, okay, so it is what it is. It,
yeah,
they shot that movie
and
for
then
about a month and a half.
yeah, and then and then of course you did Battle B Boy, with which was I still watch it now and again because like
Oh, thanks.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I like seeing the different styles of the choreography that everyone uses, not just flat out fighting, but like you mentioned, like things where when they get repetitive, they kind of get tiring to watch. And one example recent was Art of Eight Limbs. I watched that. That was the first of that new Tiger Style Media stuff, and as much as I wanted to like it, it was just the action was just too repetitive for me.
right.
It's like once Tony Jaa came in and started doing like the Muay Thai, it's like everyone was doing that, and then this one it was just getting done to death again. I'm just like, okay, like I can only take this for so long. Like, but it's
I
just
hear you. Yeah, this there's the underbelly of this industry is you get people that don't give you the time to be creative, the time and the money to be creative and take the time to actually do your craft. Like what happens is a lot of times they'll, like for a while, after the raid came out, I was interviewed to coordinate a bunch of projects where everybody wanted the raid. I was like, so what does that mean to you? The raid. They go, oh, I want to feel the action, da da da. I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of a vague thing, but I finally went deeper and understood what they wanted. They wanted these long, quote unquote, graphic. Shouldn't say realistic, but what they said, I want it real. I go, well, some of the stuff they did wasn't really quote unquote real.
yeah,
I mean, because here's the thing, everybody's got a different definition of what is real
yeah,
because you know you ask the director, he goes, I want real. I go, well, when was the last time you were in a real fight? He goes, oh, it was in third grade, and the girl kicked the shit out of me. Sorry.
I just love
So
hearing that little girl take the shit out of that.
yeah, I mean that I hate to say that was what the real reply was. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So everybody's got a different idea because in his mind, as he reverted to a kid on knowing what was real. That's all I'm like
Yeah,
going, oh, interesting. So that's why I pointed that out. It's like, okay, you know, a girl beat you up. You got you replayed this probably several thousand times in your head, and that's in your mind is what you consider as real.
yeah,
Whereas you've been in a fight as an adult, you're not mature. You haven't your mind and your psychological processes hasn't matured, so you don't have you have been in a fight as an adult, so you don't see things differently. So it's that's what I essentially have to deal with every time I deal with a producer or director or an actor when they say I want real. I'm like, okay, well, what's your definition
plus
of real?
Sammo Hung said it best in Best of the Martial Arts Films. A real fight will only last 20 to 30 seconds. Pop, 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 pop. Just like that. What he does is he crafts it like a 3 to 5 minute or 7 minute film fight scene because And as Jason Statham said, it's a dance. Fight choreography is a dance. That's all it is. But
But
you want to make it work.
Some people don't want to see that. They don't want to see that.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, but that's what it is. It's just a dance with fight moves. That's all. That's what it is. And like, and then the actress I mentioned, Lisa Ehlers, like I mentioned, she mentioned to me that she was studying Hapkido. I recommended the Young Master with Jackie Chan. Like, the guy he fights at the end of the movie does Hapkido techniques on him for like 15. And this was a 15-minute fight scene. And she's like, I need to see this movie right now. Like, why have I not heard of this? And so she's like, just to recommend flicks to people who have never seen it. They're like, that it makes them want to get into it. I think eventually.
That's when it comes to making that stuff, I mean, everybody wants that. I mean, from my experience, everybody wants that long, defined techniques and stuff like that, but they don't want, I mean, from what I've experienced here, they don't, most of the stuff I do are independent, low, medium budgets. We're not given time to do it. That's why things end up happening the way they are. You kind of go, oh, well, you're promised time and talent, but when push comes to shove, you usually don't get that.
Right.
Okay, from the powers that be. I mean, and here I'm a stunt coordinator. I'm at their mercy. So I end up trying to do the best I can with what's given to me. That's the hard part about all that. They don't understand what's involved. I mean, they expect. I remember showing up on some shoots where they realized at the last minute they needed a stunt coordinator, and they expected me to teach the actors how to fight on set that day. And I said, well, did you expect them to know everything? And go, well, they're actors, they should be able to do their own stunts. I go, no, that's not how that works. And then on the flip side of it, actors will lie to get the job, and once they get the job, they learn the skill.
That's what happened with that's what happened with Sophia Crawford, who ended up becoming Buffy's stunt double. Yeah. They asked her, "Can you fight?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can fight." And then she gets on the set, and they're like, "she's like, I'm sorry, I really don't know how to fight it." But they said, "You know what?" And this was Hong Kong. They're like, "Let's train you. Let's train you right now." Look where she is today. She's one of the top stunt performers in.
Yeah. So that is an exception to the rule.
Yeah, that is an exception.
Sophia, just who she is and what she's about, physically, mentally, psychologically, she's one of a kind, but there are people that I mean, look at she did it in a way where, I mean, I don't know why she did, but from what I'm seeing is she did it in a way just to get a job, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to stunt work, oh my God, you're essentially putting your life on the line.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know what you're doing. But with Sophia's, as an example, as she's an exception more than an example, because she turned it into a career and a life. Whereas others, they get so traumatized, or they have a short-term goal. I think something must have clicked with Sophia during that time when she did it, that made her go, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So whereas, I mean, I've seen it with people where I had to train them, and they walk away afterwards going, oh no, this is not what I want to do. You want the glory, but you don't want the dues that you have to pay to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like the stuff that's done behind the sets on films, and it's no joke. I mean, they really got to get their training in, and and also learn the moves right. Get them, make sure that when you're they're working with the choreographer, they gotta, like Ron Smorenberg was in Jackie Chan's Who Am I, and it was his first movie. And he's brand new to it. He was brand new to it, but he had trouble getting used to the Jackie's like style of rhythm. The bump, and at one point you see Jackie get frustrated, and eventually.
Oh yeah.
eventually though, Ron did pick it up, and just like Sophia, he's now a big stunt man in Thailand. He's doing like stuff in Thailand, but he came from that. He was a martial artist, but he wasn't used to choreography. So
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, he was doing what he was taught to do as a martial artist, and what you're taught to do as a martial artist isn't what really happens on a film set. I mean, I know that scene you're talking about specifically because
yeah,
it's that jump switch step, and the thing is he was attacking Jackie,
yeah,
and he was coming at Jackie, and the problem was that he didn't let Jackie show that he was being attacked. He didn't let Jackie know that Ron didn't understand it was a dance.
yeah,
That's the whole thing. He thought it was me versus you in its physical approach to the fight. But the thing is it just there's he wasn't able to see what they did, and then Brad Allen came in and doubled him, and he did exactly what was needed. But
yeah.
Ron is another example of somebody who was very fortunate to understand his mistakes, and then made it
He learned from them.
career. But we're all put in that situation. Same thing with me and Jet Li. I didn't understand what was going on. You just hopefully, if you want it bad enough, you'll replay what happened in your mind, and you'll make it work for you. And if you don't have the insight or the understanding of what actually happened, you're not gonna make it.
Yeah. Speaking of the master, I do want to ask, what was that like working with Jet? Was that fun working with him on that?
It was an awakening. I guess you could say. I was a trained fighter before that, and I was able to take hits because those hits were real. My arm didn't break for real, but we saw like 10 different fights that you never got to see. That if you watch that fight scene that I did, I'm three different people in that fight. I have different costumes on each time because we shot there, like at least 10 different fights in I think it was like a day and a half I worked on. And you had to learn how to adapt quickly. You had to learn how, because they showed you the fight. Here it was different. I was very fortunate. What happened was they had a team of Hong Kong stunt guys,
Mhm.
and they would put together a fight. They work quick and they work fast. All those fight scenes that I saw them put together, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is really cool stuff. It really stood out. Because Wu Ping's brother was the fight choreographer on it. And man, you just watched them work. I was like, man. So what happened was each one of us was assigned a Hong Kong stunt guy. And I forgive me for his name, I don't remember, but he was the guy that was in Police Story that fell off the second tier on the double decker bus and landed on his head.
Okay. Oh, one of those guys. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that was a guy that trained me. He personally trained me. So what we had to do was, he goes, watch me. So we had like what 8, 9 different guys, and they came in, and we had to watch our guy. He goes, don't look at anybody else, watch me. So even though Jet would attack, and I had to watch what he did before and after the attack. So I had to, okay, I was sitting there studying, and they ran it over like 3-4 times so we could watch it. Then what we did was they take us off in our own little corner, and that guy would teach me exactly what I needed to do. So, and then they report back to Eagle, which is Wu Ping's brother, that what he's got it or didn't get it, or we got to change this, we got to change that, and that's how that worked. And we did this all day long. It was hard. It was very hard. I'm it's you just got to kind of okay, that fight scene's over. Let's go to the next one. And that was what I learned, and I'm very grateful for that type of experience. I mean, we didn't have back then. We didn't have gator backs. They didn't have pads for us. So those falls we took on the ground, that was hard concrete that we took it on. So we had to learn. You had to learn how to do fall correctly, and if you didn't do it correctly, you felt it. So I mean, there was one take where I hit the ground hard, and I just thought that was the end of it for me. So
Wow.
if they go, all right, let's do it again. I go, oh, you're kidding me? We got to do this again. So
Did you get to go? Did you get to watch some of the other fight scenes get done in the film, like anything with Jerry Trimble? Like,
yes. That was in a warehouse. That whole the store was in a warehouse. It was somewhere downtown, and they turned it into a set. So
Oh,
so
wow.
that was pretty cool. Yeah. I did, when I took the job, I was very serious about it. And I told them, I go, I want to learn what you guys do. I grew up on your movies, and I want to learn. And they kind of looked at me odd. They go, really? You want to learn how this is what, 87, 88 around that
yeah.
time. So we're just they in that type of choreography was not accepted in the West.
Huh.
I mean, it wasn't accepted. It wasn't accepted in a. It was done, but it wasn't accepted in, like, say, you didn't see Lethal Weapon fights like that. You didn't.
No.
It was around that time. You didn't see. It was still very brawlish. It wasn't as stylized as Hong Kong is known to be. Like
Yeah.
it is now with them. So they kind of looked at me odd, and I go, no, you don't understand. This is something I love. I watched these movies growing up, and I want to learn how to do this. So that's why I showed up a lot. At least 3-4 days before, and just watched and learned, and just sat there and just went, wow, this is so cool.
That's awesome. Too
Yeah,
bad you weren't in Dragon Fight. I mean, that one had quite a cast as well. It
yeah,
was Jay,
yeah. I knew,
Stephen Chow, Ernie Reyes was in it, George Chung, Scott
right.
Coker was imagine that you had been part of that whole. Of course, Stephen
Yeah,
Ho again. I mean,
that was a Bay Area. That's Northern
yeah,
California. Those guys you mentioned are Northern California martial artists. My friend Stuart Kwan, who passed away, was in it too. And there was another guy who was from West Coast demo team. I forgot his name. Dayton Pang. He was incredible as far as his kicks. He was in that too. So I was just like, man,
yeah,
these guys. Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean,
And, and Mark Williams, and I remember Mark Williams would later appear as a major role in College Kickboxers,
oh
where
wow.
where I saw it as trained. I think I rented it back in '92 as Train to Fight, and I was like 13 years old. My mom took me to the video store and found this movie called Train to Fight. I'm like, I've never heard of this. I got to see this. And it was from the team who did the Hong Kong film Angel, like their version of Charlie's Angels. They did an American
Oh
film, and yeah, the Angel had like Moon Lee and Yukari Oshima. The producers came to America and did this movie called College Kickboxers, and they brought in Tan Tak Wing as their not only choreographer but as like the Sifu of the main character. It was like
wow.
and I think it was like one of Jeff Langton's first movies, like because he played a bad guy in that too. Like
Jeff Langton.
after I think it was right after Van Damme beat him up in Lionheart, he did College Kickboxers, playing
Oh
he
nice.
played like, the big tournament like bad guy, and but it had that Hong Kong style choreography in it as well
Right.
because of Han Tak Wing, and I think I heard he worked with like he was on Lo Lee's team, the guy who did the Five Fingers of Death back in the
Oh,
'70s,
oh
like
yeah.
he was a member of his like stunt crew at the time. And but yeah,
Yeah.
that's another movie I'd recommend. College, I think that's on Tubi also. College Kickboxers.
Oh, okay. I interviewed the director from Five Fingers of Death for
Oh wow.
it was for Dragon Dynasty's release of Five Fingers of Death, or King Boxer.
Wow.
Amazing guy. We drove down to La Jolla to his house to to interview him. Man, he had some stories. Some great stories. I mean, the guy is responsible for the launch of Korean cinema, and he's a direct result of what we see now in Korea because of his knowledge and his guidance to a lot. I think he had three mentors under three wannabe directors that are now big directors in Korea because of him. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know what La Jolla is, La Jolla is down near is right before you get down to San Diego. It's these coves. It's multi-million-dollar estates, and he lives there, and you just go, man, the industry was very good to you.
Yeah, and this year we've had a few pretty decent martial arts flicks. You know, Twilight of the Warriors, I think, is the best one this year for sure.
Down,
and then I just recently saw Officer Black Belt on Netflix. And it's a Korean film about a guy who studies Taekwondo, Judo, and Kendo, and he becomes like a martial arts officer for a probation officer, like his enforcer. And he got to learn, you get to see him use Judo and Taekwondo, but like the first half kind of gets funny. It's like an action comedy, the first half. The second half, though, it's like it gets really serious because it has to do with like child trafficking and stuff like that, and like you said, he shows that vulnerability against the main bad guy. Like he gets beaten up and in a hospital bed, and then finally, and then he's going to have the rematch against the big bad, and finally.
I don't know about you, but I feel Korean cinema has been able to successfully last at least 15, 20 years, at least, bring melodrama and make it work successfully in action cinema, in action films, than I say here in the West. Because I feel like, here in the West, you got this wink, wink, nod, nod. This is the, this is why I'm doing this in order to have this huge explosion and set piece at the end.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of think. But I especially with the big budget ones, you kind of go, okay, this is the reason why we're doing this. We're kind of just trotting through this, and then the set piece happens.
Yeah. And then, of course, there was City of Violence, which is one of my favorites. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but City of Violence.
Oh, yeah, it's an awesome movie. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, the cinematography and how they're able to capture the action is just... Yeah. I studied it. I study all that stuff. I have a lot of these movies on Blu-ray, and I just sit down and, all right, they switched from here to here. They went from here to here with this angle, and yeah, it's definitely worth... I mean, that's what I do. So I
did that too recently with an old movie, Kill or Be Killed, that came out in the 70s.
Oh yes,
and
I saw that in the theater growing up. That's how old I am.
And I'm like, the tagline cracked me up. It's like, it's the greatest Hollywood martial arts movie ever made. I go, first of all, it's not Hollywood; it's a South African movie.
Right.
But the one fight that struck out was you see a black fighter on Miyagi's team against one of Von Rudloff's, and he wins. I'm like, does anyone realize that this was made during apartheid over there? And you just had a black fighter. You just had a black fighter beat an Afrikaner. Like, do you realize they just get a precursor of what's going to happen a decade later? I just found that interesting. I was like, I just found that really intriguing that they did. And then I found out they had black movies for black audiences from over there, but they couldn't release them in theaters because of the whole government thing. So they released them in churches and small villages, and half these movies you can see now on Tubi. I'm like, oh my god! And the first one called Joe Bullet, I think it was the first one with the all black cast. 2 screenings, and then apartheid's like, nope, you're not screening this movie anymore. But you could see the movie, and the star of the movie is Ken Gampu from Kill and Kill Again, who played the gorilla, who played Gorilla. He was the star of Joe Bullet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
wow.
So I love that. Because once I get into something, I have to research it. Once I realize, when it comes to movies, I got when I recently got into South African, I got into South African films during the pandemic. So I started watching more of them, and it's like, you know what? I want to research some of this. I got to learn some of this because I ended up becoming friends with a few actors from there. And
Oh, interesting.
yeah, like, and I tell them that, and when I tell them what I learned, they're like, I never knew that. Like, I never knew, because they're all like in their 30s. They're from just the end of apartheid to now. And they're like, I never knew that they had these films for like Black audiences during that time. And this is pretty
Wow.
interesting to hear like someone from there saying that, and they never knew about that, yet they're acting in that they're actors over there. I just found that intriguing.
Are you doing a piece on this? You really should.
Actually, I did my very first podcast. I did episode. I talked with a South African actor,
Oh,
and
nice.
I mentioned this stuff to him, and then a few of my other friends I mentioned it to, and they're like, "That's amazing." And then another one told me, "Well, here's something you should know. In our country, their local horror films don't get much traction. They're more into the international stuff, like the Blumhouse films. They're not really into the local stuff. So we're glad when the locals, like our films, come out to international audiences because we get a more bigger audience internationally than our locals." I'm like, that's quite interesting to hear.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool. Wow. Wow. Man. 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 That's, just shows you the power of this genre, how it affects people, how it gives you the courage and the strength to do what you got to do in your life and move on. It's kind of like Rocky-esque. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. I mean, when I found out Kung Fu Cinema was .com was shutting down, I was actually asking myself, do I stop writing? Do I keep going or do something different? I'm like, I pondered that like for a couple days, and ultimately I'm like, you know what? I don't see this as I don't see this as the end. I don't see this at the end. I see this as a new beginning for me to do something, to keep doing my love of films, but do something different. And here I
Yeah.
am 9 years later.
9
You
years
know,
already?
it's been nine. I started World Film Geek in 2015. So yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
been next year's will be my 10th anniversary doing
Wow.
this. And
Congratulations, man.
thank you. And yeah, and now I get to interview. I start interviewing people I grew up watching, and
Yeah.
I was just to get that experience. And then there's ones who will like say, "Oh, yeah, I interviewed him before with them. Yeah, I want to interview him again." I've had multiple interviews with like certain people, and I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, I think I came a long way ahead." Here I am, right? I wrote film for like almost 25 years, and here I am. I think I'm at the peak of where I want to be. I am like I'm more proud of this than anything I've done before in terms of writing about films.
That's awesome. You should take this and you should take all this experience and knowledge and make it work for you.
Yeah,
By that, I mean is shoot your own stuff. See, if you do that, whether don't worry about being successful or not. Just practice and doing it, and then you appreciate the genre even more. And your questions and your when you're interviewing people, there it's going to be even that much more deeper.
yeah. I will say it started inspiring me to do what I want to do is become a screenwriter, and I'm actually working on my first major screenplay right now. I'm actually right in the middle of
Awesome.
it. So
Cool.
it's gonna be an action film. It's an idea that a friend of mine and I came up with like 20 something years ago, and I was like, now I'm getting kind of like into it again. So I think I'm gonna bring this story back to life and kind of got an idea. I got a really good idea for it. So now I'm in the middle of writing it as well right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Wish you luck with all that stuff, man. It's a process. You're
Yeah,
gonna
it
meet
is.
some people that'll help you out and some that'll try to take you down. So
Oh,
just keep what do you call stay as optimistic as possible
oh
because
yeah, exactly.
this industry is full of people that like to take you down.
Oh yeah, but I've been
Yeah.
blessed with a lot of the indie filmmakers and actors. I've been blessed to have them as great people who I get to talk with, and they're just to this day I still keep in touch with them, and they're like, "Keep doing what you're
Cool.
doing. You're doing an excellent job." You know, not just indies, but like internationally as well. I still keep in touch with some of my friends from South Africa, and they're all like, "Yeah, keep doing it, man. You're really." Just to hear that just makes me want to keep going and it just
Awesome.
motivates me to keep doing it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, keep me posted on what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I gotta say, this was an amazing chat. I had so much fun talking to you again. I mean, it's been a long time,
Yeah.
but it was.
When was the last time we talked?
Oh God, I think it was like we talked on the phone. Like I think it was like almost just about a decade ago. Because you gave me some crazy stories about the stuff you did. I'll never I'm not gonna say it, but I remember I'm not gonna name names, but I remember you knocked someone out. I remember you told me you knocked someone out one time, and I knew exactly who it was. And I'm like I said, I won't mention names, but I remember you told me that because you got people in the industry who think they're big shots, but
oh yeah,
they like to eat humble. They ended up eating humble pie as a result. Let's just put it that way.
It still happens. It still happens. I mean, that wasn't the only time that happened.
We'll leave it. So to wrap this up, so you mentioned you're doing a lot of more cinematography now, and working with cameras. So what's some of the stuff that you've been doing?
Well, Melissa and I we got our own production companies, and we're going more. This is the overall picture is this. The strike and the reshifting of streaming and all this stuff is kind of really had the industry's kind of in limbo, and it's been that way since COVID, and it's been clunking. I mean, it's just the machine's changing, as we speak to this day. So what I'm doing right now is Melissa's doing it too, but she's still more on the film side than this. So what I'm doing is to learn with the cameras. I'm shooting a lot of sports. I'm doing highlight reels and stuff like that, and that is helping me become a better second unit director. So when I shoot a stunt, see the difference is if I'm shooting live sports, there's no, hey, can we do that again? Can you do that touchdown again? Can you do that spike again? No, you got to get it. You got to get it one shot. So I'm learning how to hone my skills so that I'm able. It's about framing. It's about frame rate. It's about all these technical things that I knew, but I didn't have to apply myself personally because I'm a one-man band on this. So that's what we're doing. I mean, there's some stuff coming up that I'll let you be privy to, but I can't talk about it right now.
That's okay.
So, but it's and NDAs and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on, and I'm loving it. I mean, we have these cinema cameras that major films are being shot on right now that we're using to our own what do you call to our own resources, our own skill, and playing with it every day. And it's just like, I can understand. There's a certain strength and independence that I feel now that I have a camera in my hand that I can do that I didn't have before when I was stunt coordinating and singing and directing. Now I got a camera in my hand. I'm thinking about the possibilities that I never had before, as far as how to capture action, because I had to rely on somebody that had a camera and their limitations of what they thought a stunt was. And I was like, no, can we do it like this? Can we do it like that? I mean, I'm getting some work as a cinematographer on documentaries and stuff like that, and Melissa is too. And we're shooting our own stuff. It's a way of expressing ourselves, and I can't wait to get back into shooting stunts with the knowledge that I have right now.
Oh yeah,
and the understanding and all this stuff. I mean, you ain't seen nothing yet, Albert. That's all I can say.
It's just the beginning.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying this to be a braggart. I
No.
just know there's some. I mean, I'm looking at this potential, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
If
no,
I didn't-
you
if I
told
didn't
me,
know this,
yeah, like what you told me,
yeah,
it's about being optimistic, and that's what you're doing.
yeah,
Like,
no,
you got it. You're calling
yeah,
it.
it's seeing the potential that
Yeah,
you have when you got this power in your hands, that you just go, oh, I see now. I have not formally trained in cinematography. I'm just learning, as just from the people I work with and off YouTube, and just from people I meet at conferences and seminars and stuff like that. But it's not. It's pretty damn cool, And I'm like going, and what I saw with Twilight, the Walt City thing, I was like going, they're really they really they broke down, they're doing all the right things. When I say right things, it's not like it has to be like this, has to be like that. I'm talking about creatively, where they're just there's they're doing what they feel is right within the means of the story, the budget, and the scope of the picture. And I was like going, there's not one real false move in that movie at all, and I think that's why it resonates.
yeah,
You know, I because I was watching it and I was studying at the same time. I'm like going, holy crap, this is not like any other Hong Kong film I've seen before. And they're taking what I know they're taking what Korea's already done with their certain with the melodrama and also the cinematography and their lighting. I mean, and that was shot in digital, and they made it look so good. I mean, so I know I'm probably boring the crap out of you, but
no,
this is what I'm discovering. I'm like on, oh my god, they're taking it. They're definitely taking it up to the next level. I mean,
yeah,
think of special effects with Storm Rider, A Man Called Hero, to now.
yeah. And
You know,
ironically, it's based on a graphic novel. That's the irony with all that. It's based on a manhwa. So
yeah.
it's just like, just to bring that to life is just wow.
Yes, and those were manga too. And they're manga. Sorry, they were yeah. You just it's when you look at it, it's like, oh my god, they brought it to life. Even though if you never read the comics, or I don't know how accurate it was to the comic,
Yeah, I don't either, but I think they did a great job on it.
they made it theirs, you
Yeah,
know. And I'm sure if I'll probably get my hands on it in a couple of weeks. But man, they brought tone to it, and my
yeah,
hats off.
exactly.
They hit. It was a grand slam. It was like, you know what it was? I'll tell you what it is. I saw this video of Shohei Ohtani when he was playing baseball in Japan. He hit a home run in the Tokyo Dome that went through the roof. Yeah, I was like, what? I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. That's what I felt this movie did. That's what I felt this movie did.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God. Tonality, execution in all departments.
yeah,
I was like, this is amazing. This is, I mean, they were able to make all the departments and all the assets come together and work.
yep.
Yeah, it's just, I was like, man, this is,
That's fantastic.
yeah, I can't wait to see the prequel and this and the after.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, I hope to God it lives up to this. I mean, I don't want to jinx or anything. I just
Yeah,
hope that,
I hope it. Yeah, I hope they make it like as good as this one.
yeah. No, I have, I think content cinema has changed a lot since especially even since the handover. even before that, it's always gone through evolutions, and I don't think they're gonna do the hey, let's throw it up against the wall, see if it sticks mentality anymore with this, because this is this is this is a this is a really good property that they're gonna. I just fingers crossed that it keeps it at the same level. Instead
Yeah.
of, I mean, been in stuff where they go, hey, we made the first one did great, so this next one we're not going to give you that much money, so hopefully you do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it happens. It happens all the
Yeah.
time. Hey, we made so much money, that's great. You know, okay, let's do a sequel. Okay, great. Okay, this one we're not going to give you as much money, but we're expecting the same thing. That's the business
How you gonna do
aspect.
that? It's like, how you gonna do that? But
They unfortunately sometimes they think manpower, human ingenuity doesn't have a price, you
yeah,
know, but time and money is your worst enemy, when it
exactly.
comes to making a film, because not everybody's going to be there forever to do this. It's not like you go to a 9 to 5 where so and so should be here today. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's just like you given this wall of time, and it's a small condensed time where you organize everybody so that they can show up at this event for how many weeks or months, and that organization is huge, especially
Mhm.
if something. I looked at it, I was like, oh man, they did a lot of work in making this all work, able to happen. It's just like amazing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
uh, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When we did Battle B-Boy, the hardest
Yeah,
part was um, was getting everybody's schedule together. I mean, not just when we were shooting, training. I had to do my training schedule with all the dancers
yeah.
were um, were unusual. It's probably most of it was like one to 6 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because they were doing shows. They
Yeah,
were
and I remember.
dancing.
Yeah, I remember seeing. I think that was one of the extras. Like that was the training video. I didn't realize that was 1 to 6 in the morning. But because when
Oh, that one. Oh, that one. The one you saw. No, that was one day where we got everybody show up for 3 hours.
oh,
Everybody showed up. No, but what happened was once everybody was in, that once
yeah,
that was done, I had that what you saw was my introduction to stunts and fight choreography to them.
oh
I
okay,
showed them the basics and I said, look, I know you guys are very good at this. So I want to see how you guys express yourself with this. So I want to see how you guys, so we can work this. Cause I mean, that was a 30-day shoot. That
wow,
was hard. That was a hard shoot. So what happened was, I saw how they interpreted what I taught them, and then that's what you saw.
yeah,
They go, this is how I want to be seen as a dancer fighter, and I was like, oh, okay. Then afterwards, I meet with each one of them privately, and we kind of honed it down, and it ended up being what you saw in the film. So yeah, that's how that all worked happened.
okay.
So you own you have the DVD on it?
I have it. I still got it.
Oh,
I still have it to this day. I
okay.
think it's. Yep. Yeah, I got.
Okay.
I still got my whole collection. Still, I still expanded on it. So
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, because I thought, wait a minute, that wasn't released on cable or anything or streaming. So you must have had the DVD.
yep. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I think you sent it to me the DVD, if I remember right. I
Did
think
I?
you might have sent
Oh,
it to me. I think you did. Yeah.
yeah, because yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
You did.
Sorry.
Yep. You did. I remember now.
In your moment.
Yep, there it is. So where can people find you online?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me under at John Kreng, or you can find me at on my production company called Real Kinetic, REELKINETXE, and then my stunt. I also have a stunt one I'm still working with. It's called Badass Action Design.
Nice. Hence
Yeah,
the hence the jacket, huh?
yeah,
There it is.
Yeah, I would call it
Awesome.
badass because it's principles. You know, it's not about being macho. It's about a badass has to do what is what is expected and beyond. So that's what it is. I mean, it's the principles of stunt work and martial arts. You know, you give your word. You got to do what you got to do. Your word is your bond. Your word and your actions are a bond. So your words and your actions cannot, hey, I'll pay you $1 million. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna give you 1,000. That's
Well,
welcome to my world.
you are a stand-up comedian, so you got to put the little whistle comic in the comedy.
Right. But yeah, that's where you guys can find me. You can find me. I'm mainly on Instagram a lot.
All right.
Putting up my stuff like that. So
Awesome. Well,
cool.
John, it's been a pleasure to talk to you again. And
Awesome, as always.
Yep, and I'm gonna have the links to yours and Janell's projects on
Awesome.
the description on YouTube. And yeah, we're gonna do this again. We're definitely gonna do this again.
Awesome.
I think eventually, I think that John Wick idea might be pretty cool. We should delve into that one of these days. That'd be pretty cool
Sure.
to do. All
Let's do
right,
it.
well, John, it's been great, man, and we're gonna keep in touch. We definitely are gonna keep in touch, and as always, you should stay awesome, man.
Yeah, off the record, send me your number and stuff so I can.
Yeah, I will. Yep, definitely will.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
yeah, I'll send it to you.
All right.
All right. Well, you take care and you have a good day.
You too. Thanks, Albert.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the World Film Geek podcast. For reviews, interviews, features, and more, check out worldfilmgeek.com and check out our video interviews on the World Film Geek channel on YouTube. Stay awesome.